Hello, I'm Austin Nicholas, the founder and CEO of Get Focused. It's a real pleasure to be part of the Future Assistant Global Summit, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit and listen to me talk about highly focused meetings. So, Get Focused, it's a meeting software and training company that empowers you to conduct highly effective and engaging remote meetings. Now, just before we kickstart, I'm just really interested to see how you're feeling today. And it's always a good way to start a meeting is to use the traffic light and think, well, are we red? So not too good. Amber, getting up to speed. Or green, good to go. I'm hoping that we're in the sort of amber-green zone. If you're in the red, then maybe press pause and take a bit of time to refresh and come back. However, if you're in the amber zone and you're wanting to get green, let's say, these are three really basic things which always helps you get in the right mindset. And that's the most important one, is to be free from distractions. So I suggest actually turning your phone off or put it in airplane mode. And we actually built this contraption many moons ago, and I'm going to use this as my timer to keep me on schedule. So I put it for 30 minutes. I know it's about 20 minutes, but it'll keep me, I'll have this on the corner of my eye. And this is designed for in-person meetings, and you can put your phone in the stack and keep on track. But the problem is if we're not free from distractions, and by always adopting an always on, anywhere, anytime, any place behavior, we exist in this constant state of alertness, and it's impossible to give your full attention to anything. And so therefore, please take this moment to take some time out of your day and put your phone down. The other one is to have a glass of water to hand. It keeps all your functions working properly. It improves cognition and it even improves mood. So it's always good to have a glass of water to hand. And the third thing I would like you to do is just take 3 deep breaths. Breathing heavily can not only provide you with a greater sense of mental clarity, but it also does actually reduce stress. I really would recommend digging and Googling Wim Hof. He explains it far better than I do. But yes, it's important to always be free from distractions, hydrated and breathe. Right, and it feels good to be focused, yes? So let's crack on. So since 2005, I've been serving as a trust architect for the likes of Google, Booking.com and Nestle. And we specialise in providing the training tools and technology for teams to conduct remote meetings with purpose. And this is based on the book I've written, The 7 Habits of Highly Focused Meetings. Now, the big 3 focused meeting topics I want to cover in this workshop, or in this presentation, is insights to develop a focused meeting mindset, to trigger focused meeting habits, that then leads to effective meeting rhythms. So this is very much a sort of top helicopter view of this. And obviously there's resources and information that you can access to go into more detail. But essentially kind of what are meetings about? In my mind, it's about connecting, communicating and collaborating. Now, communication actually comes from the Latin word communicare, which means to share. And I think the ultimate purpose of a meeting is to provide crack the shell experiences that help drive purposeful communication that in turn builds trust. And what I'm aiming to try and do in this workshop and with Get Focused is just to encourage people to open up a little bit, like break these shells, open up to reveal their best selves, to reveal the gem of what you have to offer. And after all, kind of transparency is the currency of trust. So the more open one is, the more transparent one can be, and higher levels of trust and engagement you can aim to develop. Now, the problem we're up against is kind of meetings in 1949, kind of back yesteryear. We had the lovely Miss Wilson that helps keep meetings on track. Now, as future assistants, I know that you've got many different disciplines you have to deal with, and you can't be in every meeting helping coordinate and structure the meetings accordingly. And fast forward kind of to sort of 50 or 70 years to 2019, meetings often did become dysfunctional, participants distracted, and decisions rarely made, costing companies millions in lost productivity. Now, this sudden huge shift to virtual meetings makes it even more challenging to conduct highly focused and purposeful meetings. And in the new normal, up to 80% of managers' time is spent in meetings. And I couldn't help but question, is this time really well spent? Now, the biggest mistake that leads to an underperforming and ineffective working culture is not implementing any systems to effectively manage productivity whilst offering a flexible remote work culture. And companies with global teams are going to have to invest more into meeting management to ensure that relationships develop in the same way as they might do when you're in a traditional working environment, in an office. Now, what is the reason for this? It's quite simple, really. Birds flock, fish school, people tribe. Our sense of survival depends on this sense of belonging. And even in the workplace, if that sense of belonging isn't there, fear kicks in. And what does fear create? It activates the monkey brain, the amygdala, the little almond-shaped part of your brain that controls your sort of fight, flight, or freeze response. So therefore, if you have fear in your workforce, the likelihood is that you're going to lose your most valuable asset, your people. Now, this is a guy who I think, well, I think he's a legend, Seth Godin. So if you do have some time, I would suggest sort of Googling him and following him and getting some of his really valuable high nuggets of information that he sends through on his email. But anyway, what he said, he came up with, I thought was brilliant. What's for words here? Meaning for the word tribe. So a tribe is a group of people connected to one another, connected to a leader, and connected to an idea. And I began to think, how can one remove the remoteness from our team meetings in this current days we're living in? And what Get Focused does is we provide the framework, the methodology and the technology for teams to improve the effectiveness of their remote meetings. We help streamline meetings, we help reduce unnecessary admin and increase levels of engagement. Now, this not only improves the health of the organisation's meeting culture, but also each employee accordingly, because we free up more time to spend on things that really do matter. So whether that be focused on doing some really deep work, spending time with family or friends, or simply staying physically and mentally well. Now, we're up against quite a big challenge here, because meetings traditionally have a pretty bad reputation. They suck a lot of time out of our meetings. They often have no purpose. There's no clear action points. All the key players are not present. And it's quite often, I have days like this in the past, where it's just like you spent all day in back-to-back meetings and you come away from that day thinking, well, what have I actually achieved today? So we have got a problem here. But big problems require great solutions, and I hope that we can provide those for you. So we focus on habits. Now, why habits? In my mind, habits are the fulcrum for success. Reason being is mindset, or your thoughts create habits. Habits lead to actions, and actions dictate results. And habits are the fulcrum for success. Now, how you define that success is completely up to you, whether that's a happy and successful life or high profits, whatever. But it's important to think that the habits are the fulcrum for a successful and happy life. Now, meetings are culture-building opportunities. And a recent revelation I have heard, and this was from a podcast from it's Guy Raz, How I Built This Thing. Great podcast series, highly recommended. But he was speaking with the founders of Atlassian, so the guys behind Jira and some of the other project management tools out there. And the founders there said that now, more recently, their meetings are not about working; they're solely about connecting. And at Get Focused, we encourage players in teams to develop a new mindset to meetings. because whether you like them or not, they are crucial for the growth and health of your tribe. So it's the Plato mindset. It's always to be people-focused whilst relating. So that's more of a case of being enabling or aiming to understand before being understood. To listen and learn by example. So you always ask a lot of questions. To be ambitious in your goal setting and not be concerned if this does actually embrace conflict and struggle, because conflict and struggle are good things. It shows that you care. Be transparent in your actions. So let go of your ego. Don't be frightened to be wrong, and be optimistic in your attitude. It is okay to make mistakes. Now, Plato came up with this wonderful quote. Excellence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. We do not act rightly because we are excellent. In fact, we achieve excellence by acting rightly. Our typical clients are high-growth tech and fintech companies who've had to dramatically adapt to this virtual, flexible working environment, but also maintain that productivity. They needed to develop and implement systems to increase profits whilst maintaining a transparent and results-orientated meeting culture of trust. We like to say these companies are like people, and in many ways, all like people, companies have life cycles and growing pains. And there's a pain in starting, and there's a pain in growing. And companies in their, like what we say, in their troublesome but also fun adolescence years, who are struggling to adapt their culture but build their team to accommodate the tremendous growth they're experiencing. And why do we like working with these sort of creative chaos of companies? It's because they're highly innovative, they're hungry, but in some ways they're weak and they're vulnerable. And like teenagers, these companies at this stage of their development need boundaries, and they need a little bit of love. So at this point, I'd like to introduce you to Keras, our virtual meeting assistant. Now, Keras actually means to love in Welsh. So Amazon have got Alexa, Apple have got Siri, and Get Focused as Keras, whose purpose it is to connect people with purpose. Keras is your virtual meeting assistant that helps you to develop focused meeting habits that build trust in teams, which are the key foundations to nurture a magnetic culture of growth. Trust is a habit. It takes time, it takes work, and it takes consistency. And to maintain a habit, you need to make it obvious, easy, satisfying, and attractive. Now, I'd like to introduce you now to the 7 habits of highly focused meetings. Now, with all habits, you need a cue. And so these 3 habits act as a cue stage of all Get Focused meetings. And as we started our meeting, it's to be free from distractions. It's to be open to engage. And it's to be commit to the routine. And committing to these 3 simple habits at the start of every meeting will have a dramatic impact on the effectiveness of the meeting. Now let's unpack some of these little habits so you get a little bit more information on those. Now, for highly focused meetings, we recommend always parking your phone. Silence is, like I said before. And in many ways as well, when working in this sort of virtual environment, it's better to just have all windows closed, your email disabled, and just try and be fully present. Because no matter how proficient you are at hosting effective and efficient meetings, if your people are distracted, your meetings will not be a productive use of time. It's quite funny because research carried out by the London Institute of Psychiatry found that persistent interruptions and distractions saw a 10-point fall in their IQ. That's twice that found in the studies of smoking marijuana. And let's think about that. By condoning the use of people multitasking in your meetings has double the impact of smoking a joint in your meetings. Might make you think a little bit differently about whether you allow that to happen in your meetings from now on. Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook, actually, they are strong advocates of silent starts because we live in this world that demands instant gratification, but having silent starts just ensures that you have the undivided attention for all the participants, which helps reinforce this very important habit. Breathing, 3 deep breaths. Habit 2, open to engage. Now, what I mean by this is really just showing that you care, and it's listening and learning by example. And I think in many ways, always aim to hit the delight zone in everything you do. Because at Get Focused, we understand that simply satisfying a customer is not good enough. We nickname this the baker's dozen strategy. So you sell 12, but whenever possible, include an extra treat to make them smile and feel the value. Now, why can't you take that concept to your people? The treat doesn't have to be a product. It comes down to being more personal and professional in the way that you actually liaise and manage your people. You have to just drive that sense of belonging home. Because after all, human-to-human interaction is what we're craving these days. Meetings are getting longer. Our attention spans are getting shorter. Something's got to give. Leading shorter meetings is an important skill. We recommend meetings of 45 minutes work best. This allows time for recovery, to grab that coffee, follow up and much needed freshen up, or even just go to the toilet. And if you want to make sure everyone can be there, the best time to meet is not on first thing on a Monday morning. You can't think of any worse time probably to conduct a meeting. It's actually Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Now this is research done from kind of sending out a survey of more than 2 million meeting requests, and 530,000 of those 2 million said that 2:30 on a Tuesday is a time when they're free to meet. Okay, so we had the cue: free from distractions, open to edge, commit to routine. Now let's go into the routine, which is effectively the 4 stages of highly focused meetings, and these ensure that participants know where they are in the meeting and what to be focusing on. So habit 4, we will unite on objectives. This is quite simple. It's be clear of what type of meeting you are hosting so that everyone can prepare and knows what type of meeting to expect. Understanding that there are different types of meetings, each with a different purpose and rhythm, will help your team spend their meeting times more focused. The human brain is not meant to process so many disparate topics in one sitting. At Get Focused, we've simply made this kind of, we call it the ABC meeting rhythm. And like I said, we provide the framework, the methodology and technology to streamline, reduce unnecessary admin and increase levels of engagement. So the monthly action plan meeting acts as the trigger where you set these ambitious goals. And then you sort of have your weekly brainstorming meeting where you spend more time in the evaluating on merit stage to unpack and get an idea of how to actually what tasks you need to do to meet these key objectives. And the daily check-in is an update, yes, on the tasks, but in many ways it's your daily micro touch point. It's a case of actually what you could be doing as a team that can sort of make up for all those lost micro touch points that you had in the office, just to see how you're getting on. And we've narrowed it down to almost 6 different types of meetings. Some are team meetings, and the other ones are sort of what we call tribe meetings. And I think what the aim is here is kind of, it makes it simpler, quicker and easier and more intuitive to set the meeting types. And by knowing the meeting type, you can focus on each of the stages that you will help you set the agenda easily and create an engaging learning experience. So you have the ABC for teams, the action plan, brainstorm, check-in, and then a decision, exercise and fun meetings for tribes. I haven't got enough time to go through this now, but I would suggest actually I'm happy to explore that more in detail with you following this workshop. Habit 5, share ideas. This is about embracing and encouraging diversity in teams and to be mindful that people perform better at different stages of the meeting. So you might have people who are like the Nelson Mandelas, who are great at bringing the right people in around a table, who are good at uniting the people. You might have some more very creative people, i.e. the Madonnas out there, who are great at sharing ideas, the people that are sort of more refined and data-driven, the evaluators, and then the delegators, the Angela Merkels out there, who are actually just wanting to know how to do things and who's going to be doing it by when. Now, by completing a meeting scorecard on our website, you can actually also get access to a test where you can actually evaluate in your team where people's strengths are. But you can also, just if you haven't got such a diverse team, be mindful at each stage of the meeting what you ought to be emphasising, what you ought to be doing at that stage. Habit 6, evaluate on merit. Now, we simply just use the 80-20 principle to evaluate ideas. That's actually just looking at what of your ideas have the biggest impact with the least amount of effort. You might then want to if you've got some ideas that are high impact, high effort, yes, what can you be doing that can put it back into that blue quadrant that may have the same impact with that little bit less effort? It's a really simple evaluation metric tool, but it does work very well. Habit 7 is delegate what matters. Ensure that you have some time to essentially delegate what matters to your team. This is simply by saying, okay, who's going to be doing it by when? And it's important you actually allocate time to do that. Now, what is the reward of actually having this habit loop? Cue routine, the reward, get focused meeting habits, we build trust in teams, and it drives a magnetic culture. Here you can see an overview of the 7 habits and the meeting rhythms as we discussed. And our goal is to essentially give a 20% boost in meeting performance within 3 months. We do this by providing a free consultation and doing a bit of a deep dive into your current meeting culture. And then go into some training. Keras joins your team, gives your meetings a bit of love, and then you get all the machine learning insights that our tool generates. As the late great Steve Jobs stated, it's really clear that that the most precious resource we all have is time. Are you investing it wisely in your current culture of meetings? Might it be time to adapt and embrace these amazing times we're living in? Please do not hesitate to contact me. I'll be delighted to unpack further some of these meeting habits and think how we can implement them and the meeting rhythms in your organisation. Thank you very much for taking your time to listen to this. Look forward to hearing from you. All the best. Bye-bye now.